2024 has been rated the warmest year on record according to climate scientists. I've been seeing a lot of people confused about what's causing it and the science behind the data being collected. It's not the fault of anyone in particular, it's mostly a result of misinformation and unfortunately poor education. I've been commenting this in fact for years, including looking back nearly a decade when I made a video for NHK breaking down the science behind our warming climate. Let's take a look.
Let's start off talking about our global average temperatures, CO2 emissions, and how all of this does relate to the Climate Council and the Paris Agreement here across the entire globe. And one of the big things over the past 100 years is that we have indeed, since the Industrial Revolution, been seeing an average increase in carbon dioxide here in the atmosphere. And this has really directly coincided with the global average temperature. Now, a lot of people are asking, well, why do these go hand in hand? You do have to remember that the Earth over the past thousands of years has this heat budget. So the amount of incoming solar radiation and outgoing solar radiation and how it balances out here. With more CO2 in the atmosphere, we get increase in these greenhouse gases. Think of if you go inside a room, you shut all the windows and you turn on the heater. None of that heat is able to escape. So with those increases in the greenhouse gases, we get less outgoing solar radiation. That's why over the past 100 years, global average temperatures have been increasing. And the effects of this really amount to many different areas. Global average temperatures have gone up 1.1 degrees since 1880. In our Arctic, the Arctic sea ice minimum has gone down 13.3%. Pretty incredible difference. Land ice has decreased 287 gigatons per year on average. And of course, if you get the sea ice and the land ice decreasing, our sea levels are going up 3.4 millimeters per year. Overall, in the past 100 years, sea levels have risen about 178 millimeters. A lot of low-lying countries, small islands are really feeling the biggest effect of that, as well as our temperatures going up. Actually, in the past 17 years, 16 of the hottest years on record have been recorded. And a lot of people are asking this question, well, if things are getting warmer, how does that affect the weather with me personally? Well, of course, sea temperatures increase. That impacts the tropics, and with tropical storms, it impacts the jet stream. Remember, the jet stream goes from west to east, and it's a result of our cooler temperatures out here in the Arctic, and then you have the tropics down towards the south. Now, this really runs typically very fast, like a river flowing downstream through the mountains, for example. It moves very fast because you have a high gradient, or a temperature gradient in this case. Same physics here, but if you have the warming in the Arctic, this stream starts to meander more, much like a river running through a flat plain. That increases temperature spikes, high and low. It increases drought and also flooding as well, and that is why we call this climate change. It has a big impact overall across the globe. Definitely one reason why reducing CO2 emissions is very, very important. But I do want to know, and this is definitely facts, we have been seeing this general warming trend as well as CO concentration in the atmosphere increasing over the past 100 years, actually back towards the Industrial Revolution. And really, this has just been exponentially increasing. It's not just one study, but multiple studies, including the Japan Meteorological Agency, showing those temperature spikes. Yes, they do go up and down, but this is just the general trend out here. Overall, about 1.1 degrees since the start of the Industrial Revolution. And the big thing with the Paris Agreement, that is the overall consensus to reduce CO2 emissions and keep this global average temperature increase to less than 2 degrees since the start of the Industrial Revolution. If you don't reduce those CO2 emissions, well, the general trend, as you can see right there, will continue to go up, and definitely not great news. Not overall with the climate change, but also we look at that global temperature increase, and this results as well sea surface temperature increase as well. And the end result is you get more energy out here in the oceans. The oceans do acidify as well, but it does result in, especially when we're talking about local effects, increase in tropical systems around the tropics. And this is one thing I do want to talk about, because since 1970, we're talking about the past 46 years out here, we have been looking at that increase in not only in hurricanes overall, but mostly the intensity of them. There has been this spike since the 90s of Category 3 plus hurricanes out here in the Atlantic Ocean. This is not something localized to the Atlantic. We also see this for typhoons in the Pacific and as well as the Indian Ocean. They're getting stronger and stronger. Now, that's just the tropics. Of course, that has a big impact. But let's talk about more of a localized impact. Now, this is one thing that we are seeing globally, as I mentioned, temperatures increase. But let's pick a specific city. Washington, D.C. has gone up 1.8 degrees on average since 1970. That's your daily average temperatures out here. Now, of course, things are getting warmer, but this is something that we can all agree on that no one wants. The mosquito season is getting longer in Washington, D.C. 38 more mosquito days are being reported out here since 1980. Main reason is mosquitoes like warmer and more humid weather. And that's exactly what we're seeing globally, especially out here in the northern hemisphere. So 1.1 degree temperature rise since 1880. Arctic sea ice is going down, land ice is going down, sea levels are increasing, and sea surface temperatures are increasing as well. Just many of the impacts and why CO2 emissions are very important in reducing those in the Paris Agreement, the Climate Council, in doing so.